Welcome to the Tipsy Guest Podcast. I am your host, Marco Buenrostro, and every week I'm here with the top industry experts, amazing clients, and all my vendor BFFs to bring you the best tips, advice, and juicy behind-the-scenes stories to make wedding and event planning a breeze. So grab your favorite drink and let's get this party started! Hey guys, welcome back to the Tipsy Guest. I am Marco, your host. And today we have Marci Madla from Marci Madla Hair and Makeup. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Thank you I'm great. I am great. I'm very excited to have you here today.
Well, thank you for having me.
I love how you are always so dressed up. And your hair and your makeup is always on point. I mean, you got to show off what you do for a living.
Yes, we do. Not all the time, but you know.
But I feel like every
try.
time I see you,
Aww.
you look stunning.
Well, thank you. That's super. Likewise, you're always dressed to impress, and I love all of your outfits and your fashion choices. So, likewise,
it's all about if you would see me at home, you'll be like, "Who is this guy? That doesn't look like the guy that I always see at events."
Same. Yes.
I'm all about sweats, and even when it's hot outside, my house is always so cold. So I'm always wearing sweats and a hoodie. That's what I wear at home.
It's usually cold in our house too, not because of me, but because of Curtis. He keeps things like 69 degrees, and I'm always freezing. So
that's the way to go. I mean, especially here in Texas.
Absolutely.
I know, 'cause he's always complaining about how hot it is. So I understand.
He was born in the wrong climate.
Oh my goodness. But okay, so today we're gonna be talking makeup and hair. And I mean, there's so much to discuss.
Absolutely.
How long have you had your company?
Since 2008. I started in Austin, and then I moved to San Antonio in 2013. So in 2013 is when I started in San Antonio, but I've been doing it since 2008. So... Okay. Long time.
And did you always, I guess, like growing up, you always think of like, oh, I want to be this when I grow up. Like, were you always into makeup?
I was. Well, that's actually not entirely true. Growing up, I was kind of I guess in my early adolescence, I was more of a tomboy, actually, like big time tomboy.
I would have never thought that.
Yeah, no, I was super competitive. I played all of the sports, soccer, basketball, softball. Didn't really like volleyball so much, but yeah, did all the sports, hung with the boys. Like, I was a tomboy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Look at you now.
Yeah. No, not anymore. And then I guess about high school is kind of when I went to an all-girls Catholic high school here in San Antonio. So I grew up in San Antonio, and then I lived in Austin for 10 years. Okay. And so I went to an all-girls Catholic high school, and it was kind of at that time that I was in school with a bunch of girls, and we would get bored during certain classes. We had block schedules, so all of our classes were like an hour and a half long, and I would braid girls' hair, and I started getting in trouble for putting makeup on in class. And little did I know that at the time I could have been like, I'm job trading. But no, I didn't always know that I wanted to do it. It just kind of happened organically for me. Yeah. I was living in Austin, and I was actually going to college, and I was studying political science. I grew up in politics, and that kind of felt like the way that I was supposed to go. And I kind of did a few political things with my dad, and it felt a little. It just wasn't. I wasn't feeling it, and so I dropped out of college and I enrolled in beauty school, and I thought my dad was going to disown me, but
oh my goodness.
He ended up coming around and supporting me. And yeah, I went to beauty school. I graduated from beauty school in Austin. I've just been doing it ever since, and I absolutely love it. I wouldn't do anything else.
That's awesome.
It's my passion for sure.
I like it when I hear that, because sometimes, we talk to vendors all the time at events. And sometimes you can just see that they're tired, that they are not enjoying what they're doing anymore. Yeah. And they're just doing it because it's a job. Yeah. I feel like, when you love what you do and you're really passionate about it, that's when you're really good at what you do.
Yeah,
that's how I see it.
I agree 100%. I mean, burnout happens. You got to keep things interesting for yourself, and you have to do projects that, feed your soul and feed that kind of passion for you so that you don't get that burnout. I can see how it happens, but thankfully, here I am over 15 years later, and I'm still trucking along and survived COVID and all of that stuff. So yeah, no, I love it, and I'm gonna keep doing it as long as I can.
Yeah,
So,
that's the way to see it. I mean, that, with me, with the photo booth, I'm like, how long am I going to be doing this for? Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to be the old man, for like working photo booths and stuff like that. But I love what I do.
Yeah.
I absolutely love what I do. I don't work as many events myself anymore. I try to give all the events to my team, so that I can keep them busy. But, if it's a big event, then of course I make an appearance and I try to work an event as well.
Right.
But I still love what I do. And that's how I keep things fresh. And I'm always bringing new things to San Antonio and stuff. So, but let's dive right in now into hair and makeup.
Yeah.
Do you have a preference? Do you love doing hair more than makeup, or is it the same? Like, what's your preference when it comes to that?
I love both. I really love being able to do both on my clients because it's kind of it's a whole package. Do you know what I mean? There are times where, of course, it doesn't make sense for me to do hair if if my client has really super short hair and they don't really need any help in the styling department there. Or, if they just are really set on, this is how I want my hair to be. Then of course I respect that, but I really do enjoy doing the whole package because putting it all together, it feels incomplete if I'm only doing one.
Yeah.
So I really enjoy both. I feel makeup is magic. If I had to choose one, I think I would probably choose makeup just because it's so transformative and it really can bring out the best in folks. So, I always like to say, I'm not changing what you look like. I'm just bringing out what is already there, the beauty that is there.
Yeah.
We're bringing it forward and letting not only the people who are around you see it, but more importantly, letting you see it, because what the rest of the world sees, we don't see. We are our own worst critics. And sometimes we fail to see the beauty in ourselves. And that's my favorite part of my job is
there to make them
being able to make them
happen.
Yes. And I love the feeling of, doing someone's hair and makeup, but specifically makeup, and having them face the mirror for the first time when I'm done and having that reveal. And I can't tell you how many times they end up crying because they're so happy. I mean, it's fine. It's worth it. It's worth it. I'm right there so I can fix it. I'm like, oh, it's okay. It's okay. And they're like, I'm sorry. I'm crying. And it's like, no, it's fine. I'm right here. Here's a tissue. Let's blot and let's fix you back up. But that is by far the favorite part for me is that. And, typically my industry and my work is women. I focus on women. And so for me, giving that back to women is it makes my heart so happy because we are, like I said, we're our own worst critics, and we have, all of these societal pressures on us on we're supposed to be pretty all the time. We're supposed to be skinny. We're supposed to be amazing moms and, all of this other stuff. And sometimes it's nice to just see that reflection. Yes, exactly. And it's my favorite part.
That's awesome, especially for such a big day like that, for a wedding, specifically. It's so, these are things that people look forward to their entire life.
Yeah, of course. Dream about it from girlhood.
Beautiful, I'm sure it's like the cherry on top. It's,
yes.
It's just amazing. And I guess talking about right now that you said, sometimes they cry and they ruin it and then you have to do it again. So how does that work? Do you, because I know whenever we do setups for our photo booths, we go earlier in the day, and that's normally when they're getting ready, when,
right.
Hair and makeup is happening. So are you there just earlier in the day to do that, or do you guys normally stay until everything starts? Do you stay throughout the night? So
usually,
for how long? How does that work?
Right. So how that usually works is we set up a timeline depending on how many people are in the bridal party and receiving hair and makeup services. So for example, a lot of times it's bridal party as well, and sometimes mom and mother-in-law and that kind of thing. And so what we'll do is we'll work backwards from their timeline that is often given to them by their, planners or their photographers, those kinds of things. And they, so we say, what time do you need to be ready? And, sometimes we're doing it in studio, sometimes we're doing it on location. Most of the time it's on location. So, if it's like at a hotel, for example, they need to leave 20 minutes or 30 minutes because the church or the ceremony site is 30 minutes away. So, okay, we need to be done by 2:30. Okay, you need to be done by 2:30. How many people are we doing hair and makeup for? And so we'll work backwards and design a timeline. And sometimes, I've had a few where we have to get started at like 7:00 in the morning.
Oh my goodness.
And it's crazy.
It's a very long day for the couple. Like
it is.
Like, they start so early and then rehearsal the night before. Yeah. So I just feel like
I think they're running on adrenaline. They're running on adrenaline.
They're always so excited that it doesn't matter. Like you went to bed late last night because of rehearsal. Then you woke up so early the day off, and then you still have to run all day long until like really late at night. So I have a huge respect for people that get married because it's such a long day.
Oh yeah, it's a long day.
And the stress of planning and everything. And everything for just a few hours.
And it goes by so fast. Yeah. That's what all of my brides tell me. And it's funny because, so you asked about staying for touch-ups and stuff. Typically, no. Is that something that can be done? Yes, it does. It does cost, a pretty heavy amount of money to do that, to have somebody stick around, whether it's myself or somebody on my team, stick around to do touch-ups and all that stuff. Typically, that's not what happens. But thankfully, we have come a long way in terms of products and what, we are able to use to really push the longevity of how long hair and makeup lasts.
And that was going to be my next question.
Yeah.
Like, how do you ensure that, what you do early in the morning is going to last the entire day?
So usually I like to have a bit of a prep with a majority of my clients. And a big part of that is skin prep. So we like to make sure that the skin is nice and exfoliated, that it is dermaplaning, meaning we get rid of like peach fuzz and all of that kind of stuff that's on the face. And that helps the makeup and the product to actually adhere. And it also helps, to have a really nice canvas base to start with. So it looks really nice and smooth and all that stuff. And then of course we use things like tips and tricks, like, setting powders and primers and setting sprays, and then, powder on top of the, it's a whole thing. And
you guys have, it's such
we have a kit.
How do you do that every day? Just like, for regular makeup?
I don't do it every day. No. It's a lot. It's a huge problem. Like today I don't have
hair. And it takes like 2 seconds to do this.
Well, it looks great.
Thank you. I can just imagine with y'all, like, it's, every day. Well, like I said, not every day, but
not
like,
every day. Yeah.
Most of the time, like people that work in an office, that have to go to, like every day, and they have to look presentable and stuff like that. It's such a
so usually with us, with people who are like me, who wear makeup on a not everyday basis, but on a pretty regular basis, we have, and you can ask my husband about this too. There are there's like the everything routine. Like, are we doing how much are we trying here? Are we going full on with a full face and the whole glam thing, or are we doing just like a quick 5-10 minute, just be presentable and be comfortable and kind of get out the door kind of a thing. And that's typically what I will do on a regular day if I'm wearing makeup at all. Honestly, if you run into me at HEB or somewhere like that, I probably don't have a stitch of makeup on my face. Now, I do always have SPF on my face because SPF is important every day, no matter what. SPF every day. Moisturize, exfoliate, and SPF. Those are my three big things as far as what I tell everyone. I tell people, cleanse before you go to bed. And one of my, and Curtis always laughs at me because I always say, go to bed looking like a glazed donut. Like, you want to go to bed super exfoliated and super hydrated, moisturized.
Start writing notes.
Absolutely. And you can text me anytime.
It's so funny because I'm actually gonna talk to you about it because I don't really use a lot of different stuff. But lately, like, my eyes are I look like a zombie right now. Look at me.
No, you do not. You look fantastic. Your skin is fantastic.
I definitely need some tips with, how to...
I'm happy to help.
I'm not young anymore.
I hear you. Well, I think by the time you air this, I will be 40.
Oh, my goodness.
So, 40 in a few weeks.
38 a few weeks ago.
Just a wee baby.
So I'm like, I need to start doing something. This is something I should have started like 10 years ago.
Absolutely, yeah. The skin is our largest organ, and it's the most
Yeah.
presented organ to the world and to the elements, and you only get one skin, so you have to protect it and, you know, nurture it and make sure that, you know, you're treating it right. So
I am gonna start
absolutely.
today.
Yay.
So, when it comes to the way, you know, the I guess, do you present options to them? Do they come to you and they're like, this is the style I want? Do they show you like photos from, like, I don't know, Instagram, Pinterest, or
Yes.
whatever?
All of the above.
And
Yes.
I mean, there's always that one person that wants something very specific. But you, as the expert, you're like, I don't think that's going to work on her skin. How do you approach that? Like, how do you, I mean, you don't want to break their heart and be like, because that's what they want. And
of course
you're
not.
like, I don't think that's going to work on you. Like, how do you approach something like that?
So usually what I like to have, usually when I'm seeing, especially like a bride, ideally I am not meeting her and she is not sitting in my chair for the first time on her wedding day.
Okay.
Ideally, we have a trial run either in studio or on location somewhere. And sometimes they will schedule it on days where, hey, I'm going to have a date night, or sometimes they schedule it on, you know, bachelorette party night or bridal shower or whatever. So they kind of schedule their trial run with me on a day where they're going to have something else going on where they can take advantage
show it
of
off.
being
Yeah,
made
of
up. And so when that happens, we have a little bit more time for my trial runs. I usually like to schedule a little bit bigger of a block of time specifically for that consult in the beginning, because in that consult in the beginning is where we I get a feel for what they're wanting, and we can also gently manage any expectations that might need managing. And I will say that 9 times out of 10, that's never really, actually, I can't think of a single time where that has ever been an issue for me. In my pre-consultations, like over the phone and email prior to them coming in, I do encourage them, you know, if you're going to look on Pinterest, absolutely, the more photos you have for inspiration, the better.
Yeah.
And if they do that, I do encourage them, you know, try to find photos of your inspiration that match your skin tone, your hair color, and you know, that helps a lot. Because if you find, you know, me being with blonde hair and slightly fairer skin, if I go and I find someone who is maybe an Indian woman and they have, you know, jet black hair and deeper skin tone, that's not going to look the same on me as it does on them. And it looks beautiful on them and it's striking and it's amazing and I love that vibe, but that's not going to look the same on me. So what I'll encourage them to do is like, okay, so tell me what you like about this, and let's use key terms and search terms that will help you find that vibe, but on your skin tone, so that we can interpret it correctly for you. And I've never, like I said, that's never really been an issue for me, but it's always, I feel like women are always open to that, and they trust me as their person, as their expert. That's why they hired me, ideally, hopefully, you know? And so, it's always been a very seamless process when it comes to that kind of a thing, thankfully, knock on wood. But yeah.
How long do they normally hire you? Like, how long in advance do they hire you? Like, before what, like months,
So
weeks?
I have had someone try to book me 2 years in advance. And I was like,
Wow.
whoo, okay. I was like, so what we can do is I'm going to pencil you in. A lot can change in 2 years. Don't want to take, you know, deposits or anything like that. Like, I'm going to pencil you in. So don't worry. I won't, you know, if anything,
Just kinda, like,
you know,
put the date on
yeah,
hold
I'll
or-
kind of just put them in my calendar so that I know, like, hey, somebody has already, you know, got their eyes set on this date. And then usually between 6 months to 10, 12 months. So
Okay.
about a year, 6 months to a year is great, especially for the, you know, the peak seasons like fall and early spring here in Texas. Those are the big ones. September, October, November, you know, and then March, April, May. June is still a little busy, but you know how that goes.
Yeah, I mean, the summer is normally quiet. And,
Yeah,
you know,
the
it's so hot,
the
nobody wants to get
hot
married.
summer right now, where we're at right now.
Yeah.
People are like, ugh. Yeah, so I encourage people to, you know, if you have that 6 months to a year, fantastic. It's never a bad idea to reach out and try to hire as soon as possible, because we do get booked up.
Yeah.
And I try to be on site for every single one of my weddings at this particular point. just because it's my baby, it's,
course.
quality control. And if they're hiring me, they expect to see me. So I try to deliver on that. So, but I've also had some folks reach out and I just happen to have availability a couple of weeks before. Sometimes that works, not usually the case, but, if they have 6 months, at least, I would highly encourage at least 6 months.
You hear that?
Yeah.
So I mean, this is a tipsy guest. We gotta drink.
Here's
champagne.
Here's my champagne.
So, cheers.
Thank you so much for that.
Of course. So now, because this is a tipsy guest, let's talk about, have you ever had an encounter or a story or anything because people are drinking the entire day as they're doing their hair and makeup.
Uh-huh.
Has anybody ever gotten so drunk that you have to deal with drama during when you're working with the bridal party?
No, well, not any bridal party that I have had. Well, I guess, okay, so not during, but so I did have one wedding. Oh my gosh, bless their hearts. I felt so bad. So they had, I guess the groom had his bachelor party like the few days before the wedding, and they went out on a boat they got really drunk, and he did not wear SPF, and he had blisters all over his face, and the bride was like, "Can you do anything? Can you cover these up?" And I looked at him, and he was beet red. He looked absolutely miserable, and my heart broke for him because he had open blisters.
Oh my gosh.
I couldn't do anything. I didn't want to take the risk and apply product to his face. And so what we did is I just gave him some like Neosporin kind of an ointment thing and had him use that. I talked to her the day before. And I was like, look, if you're going to want me to put makeup on this, I need him to talk to his doctor first and make sure that it's okay. I'll use all brand new disposable sponges and stuff. I won't use anything. Even after sanitizing it, I wouldn't trust, bacteria or anything to get in there. And so his doctor wrote a note and said, yeah, go ahead. And so that day, the day of the wedding, I applied just a little bit of concealer and stuff to cover up that stuff. But yeah, it was because he got really drunk on a boat the day before.
You gotta be careful the week of your wedding.
Absolutely.
I know you're all excited. You want to be drinking. You want to be partying. You want to be celebrating. But there's ways of doing it. You want to make sure that all this money that you've spent, all this time that you've been, spending in planning your perfect day, make sure that you take care of yourself days before the wedding, because things happen.
And your skin.
Exactly. All right, Marci. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I honestly, we can do this all over again.
Oh, I can. I can talk about skin, hair, and makeup all day.
I'll have you back.
Absolutely, I'd love to.
But can you tell our listeners, where can they find you? Do they go to your website, your Instagram? Where can they find you?
So I'm really bad about we were talking about this earlier. I'm really bad about updating my Instagram. I'm gonna try to do that. So I'll do that a little bit more, but it's just Marci Madla, MarciMadla.com is my website. We're actually renovating it right now. It's under construction at the moment, but by the time this comes out, hopefully it should be done.
It should be out. But
I got to talk to HR back here.
You'll find the link on the show notes. And again, thank you so much, Liz.
Thank you.
One more time.
Cheers.
And guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you tell your BFFs about the podcast. If they're planning a wedding, if they're planning a party, we have all the great vendors that you can, any vendor that you can think of, we're going to have them on the show. And if you have a favorite one that hasn't been in the show, make sure that you send us a DM or go to our website, send us a message, and send us recommendations on who you want us to have on the podcast next. Until next time.
Thanks for listening to the Tipsy Guest podcast. If you know someone who could benefit from these tips, spread the love and share it with them. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. Next round's on us. Same time, same place. Cheers! This podcast is brought to you by MVP Photo Booth, the #1 photo booth rental company in San Antonio, Austin, and Central Texas.